Easily identifiable from even the most fleeting glimpse of its brilliant blue plumage, the kingfisher is one of the best loved of all European birds. Its upper parts are an unmistakable vivid blue-green color with a particularly brilliant pale blue streak running down the center of its back. The crown and wings can often appear greener than the rest of the plumage, and the wing and tail tips are a blackish color. Equally eye-catching are the bright orange feathers that make up the kingfisher's underparts. Together with the brilliant white patches on the throat and especially the cheeks and the long dagger-like bill, the kingfisher is a difficult bird to ignore. Despite this, though, the kingfisher can be surprisingly easy to miss, as it's often hard to pick out against the backdrop of foliage and water. The best bet is to listen for the bird's very loud, shrill, whistling calls, and then to see if you can pick out those bright white cheek patches which are visible at long range. Kingfishers are very protective of their special plumage, and as with other birds, cleaning and waterproofing their feathers are part of an essential care routine that they go through. Before a pair of kingfishers mate, they settle on a well-stocked territory where they can build their nest, and then they both start to excavate the site. They diligently dig out a nest tunnel in the side of a riverbank, continuing until they have a meter-long opening with a secret chamber at the end. The sharp, heavy bill proves to be a powerful tool in this process, spearing and stabbing the soil to loosen it and create an opening. As soon as the nest has been completed, the courtship process can begin. Kingfishers can have a very complex and sometimes lengthy courtship with many chances of failure. The male starts by proffering a gift of fish to try and win the female's affections. However, it is the female that is very much in control of the situation. Only she will decide when it is the right time to accept this gift, and the male just has to be patient and persevere with the task of wooing her. In this instance, the female seemingly accepts the fish, but immediately turns it round as if to offer it back to the male. Her ardent suitor tries to mate even though she's not yet ready. He is severely rebuffed and made to start all over again by bringing another fish. After the courtship process is finally complete and the pair have mated, the eggs are laid inside the secret chamber in the riverbank and incubation begins. Both parents share the task, spending about 3 hours at a time on the eggs until nightfall, when the female takes sole responsibility for keeping the eggs warm. After around 20 days, the eggs hatch, and the chicks get a rude awakening in their dark burrow, which for now will be their world. With no comfortable nest in which to huddle, the chicks have to make do with just cold, hard earth as their home. The parents have a huge responsibility at this stage to keep the defenseless babies warm and safe. The blind and hungry chicks wait eagerly in the nest chamber for food to be brought to them. Their need is so great that they often mistake balls of regurgitated fish for the food they are so desperate for. It is a difficult task for the parents to keep their young happy and fed, as each chick needs at least 3 small fish a day. A lot of work for the protective parents. Minnows, sticklebacks, and bullheads are brought to the nest and offered to the chicks head first, so the spiny fins or prickled sides are flattened and don't choke them. As the youngsters grow, they still need brooding to keep them warm, but the dark scales now visible under the skin show that their own feather quills are beginning to develop. While they're trying to get used to these new feathers, it becomes a tight squeeze in the nest hole that now has a terrible stench of fish bones and excrement, and the chicks constantly jostle for space and food. They're so vociferous in their demands for food that the clamor can be heard for quite some distance outside the nest. After 21 days, the chicks shed their quills and start to develop full feathers. Although still a dull grey colour, they begin to show some promise of the spectacular plumage that is to come. The time has come to leave the nest, and they do so of their own accord, bobbing and chirping to retain their parents' attention. This is a very important trick, as occasionally a parent kingfisher fails to recognize its own offspring and attacks it as if it were a rival. Understandably, this can be very upsetting for a newly fledged bird. In fact, the first few months of life are a tough time all round. The new experience of roosting and the shock of a cold first night alone in the open can be very daunting. This is a critical time for the youngsters, as they find themselves driven out of many territories by long-established pairs. As a result, it is not long before juvenile kingfishers start displaying the aggressive behavior that they will use increasingly in adult life. Kingfishers are often aggressive, especially when it comes to defending their territory. Using distinctive postures, they attempt to scare off any unwelcome intruders. Things can deteriorate rapidly, and if physical combat becomes necessary, fighting pairs sit on opposite perches and wait for the right moment to attack. The purpose of the duel is to catch the opponent off balance and knock it down into the water below. Although they usually avoid deadly confrontation, the battle to defend territory is no game, and in some instances, kingfishers are killed in the struggle. By far the most important thing for the young kingfishers to learn in these early days of independence is the diving technique that they will rely on throughout their lifetime to keep them alive. Kingfishers are highly skilled predators, and their ability to catch prey displays both the utmost efficiency and beauty. Even slowed down 20 times, the kingfisher's dive is still only a fleeting flash as it homes in on its prey. Learning this specialized trick does not come easily, and a juvenile kingfisher may dive 20 times before catching any prey. Compare this to adults who have a much more impressive success rate of about 1 kill in 3. Sadly, many juvenile kingfishers starve or drown in the process of learning to fish. A beautiful but lethal predator.